Good morning. 6 months of 2023 has come and gone, so the finance team thought it was time to give you an update on the church's financial status. We've accomplished some really good things so far this year, but we do have some challenges ahead of us. Today we will look at two areas, namely unified giving and dedicated funds. We'll start with unified giving. Our year begins with the pledges of anticipated giving that we are all asked to submit, and from that we set our budget for the coming year. For 2023, the budget is set at just over $238,000. 86% of our budget is non-discretionary, meaning those are the things we have to pay. The top two non-discretionary areas are personnel at 68%. This includes wages and taxes, insurance, and pension. And 29% is under trustees and is the money that goes to paying our mortgage payment, utilities for the church and parsonage, and insurance. The other 14% of the budget is discretionary, and finance has more control of spending of these funds. The top three are ministry shares, money that could go towards missions, and things like maintenance of our property and capital equipment. Again, those are under trustees. Budget expenses are paid from the money we as a congregation give. As you can see, our expenses through June exceeded the amount that has been given by about $23,000. To cover our expenses, we have had to pull money from our savings. At the end of June, our savings, or retained earnings, were just under $50,000. This is the challenge I mentioned before. However, on a brighter note, we have consistently been under budget every month, which means we are not overspending. It is a lack of income coming in. This chart shows our giving today versus our monthly budget. Look at April. We need more Aprils. And we certainly can't sustain more months like May was. Let's move to our designated funds. Dedicated funds are monies that are given by you for a specific use or fund. These funds are held until paid towards an expense in the area of designation. Examples include money given to youth, Sunday school, or a newer one, the pollinated garden. Any money given in memory or honor of someone is also held in a designated account. We currently have just under $60,000 allocated to designated accounts. It is these accounts where we've been able to do some great things for the future of this church. The parsonage was paid off. All the money we collected from Heifer last December was put into a designated account and paid out in January. And our website redesign was supported with memorial funds. Because of the deficit in giving, the finance team is asking that you minimize giving to designated funds if you do that, until we are again meeting our budgeted needs. Spending and giving, whether for unified or designated funds, is added together and the totals reported. This graph shows spending versus total giving. Looking at this, you can see when we spent some of the designated funds. January was the Heifer payout, February was the parsonage payoff, and May was the website redesign. 3 really exciting expenditures from designated money. And remember, designated money is not available to cover our general expenses. So what are our options going forward? In the short term, if you made a pledge at the beginning of the year, please make sure your giving is up to date. We need to increase our income to keep from using so much of our savings, so please prayerfully consider giving a little extra. And as I mentioned earlier, if you routinely specify where your giving is to be spent, please consider having it go to unified giving for the rest of 2023. The finance team is looking at both short and longer term items as well. Short term, we are looking at increasing the frequency of communication about our financial situation. And another is ministry shares, which, as I mentioned, is our biggest discretionary item that we have. And we currently pay an admirable 100%. The finance team will continue to review this percentage every month. And if needed, we can reduce that amount. We are also looking at whether we should establish terms around designated funds. Currently, designated funds are held in a fund until spent. Maybe we need to consider holding for only 3 or 5 years, at which time the donor will be notified regarding moving the money to unified giving. And lastly, both Finance and Governance Board are reviewing whether mortgage reduction is a viable option. As you may know, in 2026, our mortgage needs to be refinanced on the church. And it's more than likely it will be higher percentage rates. And so they're looking to see in this 3 years before that if there's something we can do as far as mortgage reduction that would help us out. Please know that both the finance team and governance board are fully engaged and consistently monitoring our financial situation. We have done some great things in 2023. God is at work in and through our congregation. Please look for additional information, and thank you for your time and attention this morning.